contesting a field of 738 entries to take the title and $543,000 for first place. Please give it up for Yifrach.
People being in ICM jail, and you said people these days sometimes fold a little too much.
He told himself it didn't matter, that the cameras didn't see the fear behind his smile, that the cheering crowd, the flashing lights, the final table pressure, none of it could expose the truth lurking under the surface. But the truth has a way of dripping out, and on that November night in Las Vegas, when the room trembled from the sound of chips being dragged toward the winner, the truth was sitting right beside him. Because he wasn't supposed to be here, not tonight, not under these lights, not with an indictment waiting for him outside the casino doors, yet there he was, Yifrach, smiling for photos, posing with a championship trophy, holding $500,000 in prize money, while the justice system watched from the shadows. Some players whispered, some stared, some pretended not to notice, but everyone felt it.
It was just like, seeing the amount of money that they were playing on. I was like, wait, is this real money? Is this tournament poker chips? Like, what's going on here?
A man under federal investigation just won one of the biggest poker tournaments of the year, and no one knew what to do with that. Cut. Silence. A single breath. Tonight, we peel back the story behind one of poker's strangest victories, a win that felt less like triumph and more like destiny mocking the table. Before we dive deeper, listen carefully. If you're watching this, you're not the average player. You think differently, you move differently, you feel that pull, the itch to sit across from someone who thinks they can outplay you. If that's you, your seat is waiting. Join Phenom Poker and use referral code JASON when you sign up. It's not for everyone, it's for players. We give away $1,000 every month to our members, and the most active players get something more. Access to private parties, live event sponsorships, luxury trips with all expenses paid, and doors into a world most people never get to see.
So a reminder that the European Poker Tour will be concluding the 2025 season in Prague. Those are the event dates, December 3rd through 14th, and you will find the full.
Yifrach wasn't a household name, not like Phil Ivey, not like Negreanu, not a celebrity, not a global icon, but inside the poker world, people knew him. A high-stakes regular, a man with a deceptively calm expression, a player capable of showing up at a $10,000 event and walking out with more money than most people see in a year. And yet, while he sat at the final table in November 2025, something felt off. Because while the cameras captured him stacking chips, a different kind of spotlight hovered above him, one far quieter but far heavier. An open federal investigation, an indictment, a legal cloud thick enough to make even seasoned players shift in their seats. Imagine it, you're playing the biggest tournament of your year, but every time you reach for a stack, you can feel the weight of a courtroom behind you. That's the world Gal stepped into, and still, he won. But to understand why this moment shook the poker world, you need to understand the rise that came before the controversy, before the indictments, before the whispers, before headlines turned his name into a cautionary tale.
I don't care about the river.
Just an
You're never safe
You
when
don't
you
care.
fall
You
top
can
set.
ask for too much.
Give him a 7. Exactly. Give him a 7 because he folded one.
Yifrach was the kind of story poker loves to tell. Self-made, ambitious, unpredictably talented. He wasn't raised in poker rooms. He wasn't born with cards in his hands. He built himself through a mindset most people never truly understand, calculating, calm, cold when necessary. Poker wasn't a game to him. It was a battlefield. Every hand, a war. Every opponent, a puzzle. He didn't chase fame. He didn't chase the spotlight. He chased edges, margins, patterns. He'd sit at a high-stakes table with players worth millions, and you couldn't tell if he was nervous or bored. That was his power. In 2018, he made headlines with a breakout WSOP win. 6 figures, a bracelet, respect from the poker elite. And like many high-stakes pros, he tasted something dangerous. Momentum. Success in poker feels like gravity. Once you start rising, it becomes harder and harder to come down. The big games become normal. The risks become routine. The money becomes just numbers. Gal climbed fast. Private games, casino pits, high roller tournaments where one wrong move could cost a year's salary. He was good, very good. Good enough to make people whisper, "Who is this guy? Where did he come from? Why is he so calm under pressure?" But calmness can hide things. Success can hide things. Momentum can hide things. And behind Gal's cold, controlled performance, something else was quietly building. something far from the poker table. The first sign of trouble didn't come from a dealer, it came from law enforcement.
He's kind of happy too. He's keeping his face like he's saying, see, whenever I shove, I have sevens. You guys really can't call me.
He's not out of line as far as they're concerned.
When news broke that Gal Yifrach was under federal investigation, the poker world's reaction wasn't denial, it was shock. How could someone under indictment walk into a casino and win a major event? How could someone with that kind of pressure still perform like a machine? Why was he even at the table? Players grew uneasy. Fans whispered in comment sections. Reporters circled the story like vultures waiting for movement. Gal was composed, polite, almost eerily untouched by the swirl around him. But the truth? He felt it. The pressure, the eyes, the unspoken judgment. When he entered the 2025 NAPT Las Vegas main event, rumors followed him through the hallways like ghosts. He's playing with fire! He shouldn't be here! Do the organizers even know? But poker tournaments don't run on morality. They run on buy-ins, and Gal bought in. Day after day, he played like someone possessed, focused, sharp, not a flicker of doubt. While others cracked under pressure, he seemed to feed on it. Like the walls closing around him made him stronger. And as the field shrank, 738 players, then 200, then 50, then 9, Gal didn't just survive, he dominated. The final table was filled with killers, people who live and breathe this game, people who read faces for a living. But Gal wasn't showing anything. Not fear, not stress, not even excitement, just silence, just calculation. When the final hand ended and the last card hit the felt, everything slowed. He stood. He shook hands, he posed for photos, he lifted a trophy worth $500,000.
There's the diamond on the turn, and that will seal the deal, that will do it. We have our champion. Gal Yifrach has taken down the NAPT Las Vegas main event.
But behind the applause was a question the poker world couldn't shake. How does a man under federal investigation win the biggest tournament of his year? Luck, skill, ego, or something darker? That's the question that turned his victory into a scandal. His win wasn't just unexpected, it was theatrical, almost cinematic. The kind of plot twist you only see in movies or in stories where something big is about to break. Because when a man with everything to lose suddenly wins more than he ever has, you have to ask, what was really going on behind the scenes? When Gal Yifrach walked away from the NAPT final table with $543,025 in cash and a title that should have immortalized him, something strange happened. The crowd didn't cheer the way it usually does. Fans didn't rush to celebrate him online. Even the poker media, who normally worship dramatic victories, kept their distance. Because this wasn't a normal win. This was a win surrounded by static, as if the universe whispered, something is off. Within hours, comments appeared. Why is an indicted guy allowed to play? What happens to the money if he goes to prison? Did the players even know who they were facing? No one knew what to say publicly. But privately, poker pros were furious. They worked their whole lives to build reputations of integrity, only to watch headlines reduce their sport to a punchline. Indicted gambler wins major poker tournament.
Well, that draws a line under this tournament and draws a line under NAPT Las Vegas 2025.
It wasn't just bad optics. It was a crack in the foundation of poker itself. Because poker is supposed to be a test of skill, psychology, and discipline. Not a sideshow where someone under federal scrutiny takes home nearly $1 million while everyone else wonders if the game itself is slipping into chaos. Even Gal looked conflicted in the winner's photos. The smile didn't quite reach his eyes. His hands looked tight. His posture, rigid. It's hard to celebrate when the world is waiting for your collapse, and that collapse was already on its way. Federal investigations aren't like poker games. They don't show their tells. They don't blink. They don't joke, brag, or bluff. They watch, quietly, patiently, and when they strike, they don't miss. Behind the scenes, law enforcement was still gathering evidence, still building a timeline, still hunting for patterns in cash movements, business ties, and private game circles. In poker, information is everything. In federal cases, information is also everything, and Gal knew it. The victory bought him money, but it didn't buy him time. It didn't erase the investigation. It didn't clean the slate. It just painted a bigger target on his back. Reporters began digging deeper, players started whispering louder, forums lit up with conspiracy theories, half-truths and assumptions. Some said he shouldn't be allowed to play anywhere. Others argued he should be presumed innocent until proven guilty.
He's charged with are conducting an illegal gambling business and money laundering. This would be 25 years in prison. He was allegedly supplying and operating a legal video slot machine.
And a small number claimed the win felt scripted, too perfect, too cinematic. Was it absurd? Maybe. But that's what happens when reality feels like a movie scene. People stop believing the rules exist. Gal didn't respond publicly. Not once, not a tweet, not an interview. Silence became his shield, silence became his tell. And in poker, a tell is never accidental. Poker has always been a game of irony. The moment you feel safe, the deck destroys you. The moment you feel doomed, you river the miracle card. That paradox is part of the addiction. But Gal's story felt like something else entirely. A man facing legal danger, winning the biggest tournament of his year. It was poetic, it was suspicious, it was spiritual, and it was absurd, and depending on who you ask, it was either the luckiest moment of his life or the unluckiest, because winning $500,000 while under indictment doesn't make the problem disappear. It makes the problem bigger, louder, heavier. Imagine weighing a trophy in your hand and wondering if the government will one day seize your assets. Imagine posing for victory photos and knowing prosecutors are also capturing screenshots. Imagine shaking hands with poker icons while wondering if they'll distance themselves from you tomorrow. His win wasn't freedom, it was a spotlight, and that light burned hotter every day. What makes someone under investigation sit down at a poker table and play flawless, fearless, calculating poker?
Boyven says all in. Yifrach calls. Now he's ahead. He's a favorite to double up. But Boyven can hit a heart, a 10, or a 7 on the river for the win.
Pressure, egos, desperation, defiance, or something deeper. There's a theory in psychology called pendulum swing behavior. When a person faces overwhelming pressure in one part of life, they swing violently in the opposite direction to regain control. Gal couldn't control the investigation, he couldn't control the headlines, he couldn't control the narrative, but he could control his decisions at the table. He could read opponents, he could execute bluffs, he could fold at the perfect moment, he could dominate. Poker became the one place where he wasn't powerless. The cards didn't judge him, the chips didn't care about indictments, the dealer didn't read court documents. Poker was the last world he ruled, and so he clung to it, because for men who chase adrenaline, status, money, and risk, the scariest thing isn't losing, it's losing control. When the dust settled, Gal was gone from the spotlight. The casino moved on, players moved on, the industry moved on, but his story didn't end. Behind closed doors, lawyers negotiated, investigators dug, prosecutors watched his finances, and Gal lived in a strange purgatory, too successful to fade away, too controversial to celebrate, too uncertain to plan for the future. Some say he'll return to the tables one day, others say he's finished, some whisper about plea deals, others imagine comebacks. But here's the real truth. The poker world changed because of him. For the first time in years, people questioned integrity, not because of collusion or cheating, but because the disconnect between hero and villain grew thin.
His name's Gal Yifrach, and he just won it all. Now in 2022, this guy was indicted for allegedly running an illegal gambling operation.
A man can win a tournament, a man can pose with a trophy, a man can take home $500,000 and still be losing the biggest game of his life. That irony is what makes this story unforgettable. Most people think poker is about cards. It's not. Poker is about truth. The truth you reveal, the truth you hide, the truth that slips through the cracks when the stakes get too high. Gal Yifrach's win is a reminder of something darker. You can win the pot and still lose everything. You can play perfectly and still walk into chaos. You can beat every player at the table and still be checkmated by a world you can't bluff. Poker mirrors life because neither cares about your excuses, only your decisions. And the biggest decision you'll ever face isn't whether to call or fold. It's whether you confront your reality or hide behind luck until luck runs out. For Gal, the cards fell his way when he needed them most. But the story doesn't end at the river, because in poker and in life, the real test comes after the chips are counted, and his test is still coming. But Gal isn't the only gambler whose luck twisted into something darker. Next time, I'll show you the story of a man who didn't just win a tournament, he fooled an entire casino for years, until the house finally caught him slipping. And when they did, the fallout made this story look calm. Stay sharp, the cards never stop moving.